Hello and welcome to
A Couple Codes.
My name is Cody.
And my name is Emily.
And we've been coding with the Odin project for 27 weeks. Today we're going to give you an update on what we did this week. So Em, what have you been up to?
Well, I'm currently 71% of the way through the JavaScript course, and I'm working through the React section, but I'm taking some time to explore one of the additional resources, which was suggested by the Odin project, which is the Learn React course on Scrimba.
How's that going?
Is great. I love it.
Yeah?
Yeah.
So what's it like?
It's a 12-hour course, and it's divided into these short screencasts. So each screencast is like 5 minutes long, and it has the instructor explaining a concept and coding at the same time. And then the instructor will pause and have you complete a code challenge. So you're like constantly reiterating what they're talking about and constantly rewriting it in code. But the way that they do it in these short screencasts, they're able to really spread out a concept and take it piece by piece. And that has just been super helpful for learning all of the foundations of React.
Cool. It sounds pretty interactive. I'll have to check that out sometime.
Yeah, it's nice. I've done a decent amount of tutorials in the past, and of all of the more tutorial-like tutorials, this is definitely my favorite. And the back and forth, like every minute or two you have your hands on the keyboard writing something, just keeps me super engaged. So I've been able to do it like all day long. Like I think I've spent 6 or 7 hours doing it so far. And most of those are in like several hour chunks where I'm just doing it nonstop. But it's also really exciting because of that, because it's fun to be learning so actively. And so it's very motivating to keep going. And in the morning, like I'm excited to go back into the course. And like right now, this sounds dumb, but like I'm excited to keep going with it after we complete this video. Just because it's so fun to learn.
Pretty much, she's really excited about Scrimba.
Yeah.
Really excited about Scrimba.
So, yeah, I enjoy it.
Well, what's something significant you learned? So you're learning in Scrimba. Anything pop out to you?
Well, the most significant thing is that the reason why I came to Scrimba is because I had a specific question about the task app that I was completing as part of the React section, which involved passing state from a parent component as props to a child component, but then having the ability to have a button within the child component which can update the state of the parent component. And yesterday I learned exactly how to do that, and it makes complete sense. And so now I can go back to that task app and actually finish it and then move on to my CV app, which is my next big project for the Odin project.
Nice. What's been the biggest challenge of this week?
I can't think of one. I love Scrimba.
Oh boy.
I'm not sponsored by Scrimba, but if you want to sponsor me, let me know. But yeah, I can't think of a major challenge. Really.
Nice.
Yeah. How's this week going for you?
Pretty good. Yeah, I'm just continuing my final JavaScript project. So I'm making the sensorylexicons.com website and added a new feature to allow the user to edit sensory attributes. So I'm actually still building it, but it's coming along. Honestly, nothing too crazy. It's been just applying what I know and that kind of stuff. I did have a little bit of trouble with table. We can talk about that in a second, but this week I was focusing outside of the Odin project, so I'm doing half of my day with the Odin project and the other half my data structures and algorithms strategy. And I'm starting this new phase of it to now go into specific patterns and learn about problems and the general patterns that you can categorize problems into. So I'm reading through a curriculum for that. And it's interesting just to see it from a different perspective, not just data structures or algorithms or just random problems to solve, but like these similarities between problems, so it's a higher level kind of thing. So that's been interesting to do.
What's been most challenging? Is it the table?
So coming back to the table, it wasn't super challenging, but there was a little point where it was like bugging out on me. For the table and for the edit attribute feature, the user selects a row on the table. So they're selecting an attribute, and then state updates to recognize that there has been an attribute that's been selected. An edit button appears, and then once you click the edit button, the edit attribute window will appear. I was using some mapping over single value arrays to actually have that working correctly. And then I tried to separate that out into separate logic within the view lexicon component. So originally it was all just one thing being returned, and then the if statements were in those mappings of the single value arrays.
Okay. Like you were mapping over each single element.
No, it's not a single element.
Or you're mapping over an array of?
I have a single variable that is true or false if a row is selected. I put that variable into an array just so that I can use map. So that I can use an if condition, so I can use conditions on that value within a single return statement.
Okay. Within
a component. The better way of doing that is using ternary operators, ternary conditional expressions, to actually like check for those things. I kind of knew that was a thing before, but this single array method kind of I hacked it through for a couple things. So there's probably some other things within my project that I can do this with, but the ternary operator, I finally got the syntax right for it, and that made it simpler. But the problem that I was having was a user would select a row, and then the edit button would appear, but then the table would update with using if conditions for each state outside of the, like, having like separate returns for each like combination of conditions of like edit attribute and selected row and all that kind of stuff. So the table would update, and then the attribute wouldn't be selected anymore, so then it'd be a blank table. So that was kind of a challenge that I had this week. So
ternary for the rescue.
Yep.
Speaking of scrimba. Just kidding. But speaking of ternary, like that's one of the things too with this scrimba course, beyond just learning React, there have been all these little Easter eggs of things that I've learned along the way that improve my programming, like becoming comfortable with ternary conditional expressions and becoming more comfortable with map and filter, stuff like that. So that's another little side benefit.
Especially after you've struggled with some of those concepts, like with actually building projects, and now you're kind of unintentionally coming back to it with scrimba.
Yeah.
But it's also in a more interactive mode, so that's kind of.
But it's kind of like what you're talking about with my projects. I just would avoid using them because you don't have to. You can have workarounds. You can have a bunch of for loops, which is what I have in a lot of my projects. And now that I've actually like used map so many times and filter and ternary conditional expressions, I want to go back to my old projects and actually fix up some of those things because I feel like so comfortable using them now. So it's just an interesting side benefit. Although I think with React in general, map is such a huge function that beyond just scrimba, you would get more comfortable using it in general. But it is just cool to be able to keep using those expressions enough that they all make sense.
Cool beans.
Thanks, queens. Anything else you want to share?
No, I think that's it. I think that's all we have for today, guys. So if you're new to A Couple Codes, make sure you subscribe. We do our vlogs throughout the week, alternating Emily and me for each day. And then on Fridays, we do this weekly update on our progress with the Odin project. So subscribe if you would like to follow along with our journey. Like this video if you like the video. And thanks for tuning in to
A Couple Codes.